So, I'm not exactly sure where you wanted to start with this. It seems like you have some kind of opposition to veganism. Uh, did you want to tell me about that?
So basically, I am a vegan myself,
Okay.
but one of my friends put up an argument. Basically, my friend said that if you are you are a vegan, just because that there is cruelty being done towards sentient beings, and they are being killed just for the pleasure of humans, that shouldn't be done. So why do you change your view when the crops are grown and millions of insects, billions of insects are killed in that? And I couldn't come up with an argument towards that. So that's why I wanted to do a debate.
Sure. Well, my response to that would just be that I'm in favor of granting rights towards innocent sentient beings, um, and I
Sure.
don't grant rights to beings who are trying to destroy crops.
Okay. Can you repeat the last argument? I couldn't understand that.
Okay, so essentially just that I don't grant rights to beings who are trying to destroy crops.
And why is that?
I see no reason why I should. I don't like them. I'd prefer to grow crops.
So if someone is not in your favor, you should kill them. That is your stance, if I'm phrasing it right.
It depends what you mean by in my favor. I'm not saying that, if I don't like somebody, then I
If
should
they're
kill them.
destroying, if just because they're destroying your crops, does this mean you have a right to kill them?
Yeah, I mean, India has a military. What do you think the military would
Yeah,
do if I went to India and started burning all the crop fields? Do you think they would just let it happen, or do you think they would kill me?
I think they would put you in a jail.
Yeah, well, if there was no way to put me in the jail, if it was either let it happen or kill me, what do you think they would do?
But that's not true, right? If there's always a way to put you in a jail, because we believe in a
Right. Well,
democracy,
it's
and we
stipulated in
don't.
the hypothetical that if there's no way to kill
But
to put me in the jail.
you can't argue real life issues in the hypothetical, right?
You can. That's exactly the
That's a real
purpose of
life
a
issue.
hypothetical. At this point, it just seems like refusing to answer the question.
I mean, I feel like if someone is being killed just because we want to eat something, we want to grow something, that then it shouldn't be uh, seen in the same. It should be seen in the same light as we see killing the oh, cattle and
Right. So
the.
just like before we move there, just stay on the topic at hand, which is that if I was burning all the crop fields in India, what would you expect
Hmm.
the Indian military to do? If it's either kill me or let me burn all the crop fields, what would you expect them to do?
I'll ask you a question. What situation
Mm,
do you think
that's
would
not
lead to
gonna
that?
answer this question.
Because I have seen a lot of things in India, and most of the things that I see is that only a few, very few people have been hanged. I mean, being killed,
Yeah,
And that
I
was
generally don't like
majorly
to move
because of
forward
this.
until the question's been answered.
Uh, Actually, I think you are asking the wrong question.
Okay, well,
If
maybe I can
I
ask the right
be very
question
clear,
after you answer this one.
I, I mean, I can answer. I cannot answer a wrong question, right? I can only phrase it rightly. I can only tell you what's wrong with the question. If you think that's
So there's
not,
some kind of problem with the question, is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying that that is in any situation that is not the only two options. If they
Right, that doesn't
and
mean that you
basically
can't
that is
answer the
not the only
question.
option.
That's not a
If
problem
I
with the
phrase a
question.
question similarly like that, just hear me out. If I phrase a question similarly like that, that if there is a situation that if you don't kill the animals that are being killed today to eat, they will kill us. Just like a hypothetical, let's say, just a second. Let's say we have you've seen the movie The Planet of Apes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if there's a similar movie, The Planet of Cows, The Planet of Cattle, if we say there's a similar movie, then this is not a right question to ask. No? If I say that if the cows are killing us, we should kill them first, uh, and then we can eat them or do whatever we want to do with them. That doesn't apply to the real world. Similarly,
I
as
don't
you
see
asked the
why that
question,
would
if
be
you
problematic to ask. If the cows were killing us, could we kill them? That's a fine question to ask, just like the question I've asked you.
I mean, if we be in the that hypothetical that if there's only option to kill you if you are destroying our crops, then I think and let me be very clear, there's not always this option. क्या नाम है? Burning the crops is not a very big issue for any country and any country's sovereignty. And if you do that, and coming to your hypothetical, if that is the case, then they might kill you. If you are saying that that is the only two options.
Right.
But I would always say
So
that in real life, because the question is based on a hypothetical issue, and I am talking about real issues, not I am basically my friend. He convinced me really well on this one.
right. So just as you've said that if the only two options were to kill me or let me burn all the crops, you would kill me.
Right.
I'd say the same thing to with regard to crop deaths.
But you see that that's not the only two options, right? There are a lot of ways we can do crops in a very conservative way, in which a lot less uh, insects and rats are being killed, rodents are being killed. That's
Yeah,
my
well, then I
stance.
guess I have a preference for minimizing the killing, but if it's
Yeah,
between, losing the crops, then no, I'd rather have crops, rather have a
because
civilization.
I feel right. Because I feel that is not killing the insects and pests are not the only way to grow crops. As we see in a lot of berries and avocados, they are specifically there are specifically insects being imported from outside the country. I'm talking about USA, outside the country to basically ripen them and make them uh, a higher quality fruit just because of that. and there's no point in that. If you are importing sentient beings out of the country and killing them just because you want the pleasure of ripe, better quality fruit, right?
I'm not sure what you're asking here.
Did you not understand my argument?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll repeat that. Basically, there are a lot of fruits like berries, avocados, and some more. I'll have to look it up properly for all the fruits matlab, to list out all the fruits, but these are majorly that. And insects are being imported from outside the country to ripen them. And basically, if we import an insect, it's basically importing them and breeding them to uh, increase the population, and then using them to uh, m- make the fruit. This is in and then used to make the fruit
Right.
ripen
So
and
this is like to pollinate, right? Like importing bees.
right,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
And
Well,
in the
that
process,
seems. I'm happy to talk about that, but that seems slightly different to crop deaths. So I'd rather resolve the crop deaths point
yeah,
first, if that's okay.
that's just my other point. As I was pointing that out, that's just my other point, that this is purely being done for the betterment of the quality of fruit. This is not because they kill the fruit. This is not because they hamper the growth of the fruit. They are not in the picture only. And you put an alien object out of the blue and use them to pollinate and ripen your fruit and then kill them.
Right. So I'd
A lot of
rather
them are
rather
already killed
resolve the crop
in the
deaths point
process.
first before we move on. So
I guess we were done with the point.
okay. So do you agree there's no issue with, uh, or rather, crop deaths don't present any kind of problem with veganism?
I think they do, and
Okay. So then we're not done with the
we should
point.
find ways to we should find the ways to. But they present the problem that no sentient being should be killed for any reason,
Oh,
for our
well, I
pleasure,
don't
basically.
believe that no sentient being should be killed for any reason.
This not for any reason. I misphrased that. I just wanted to say not for our pleasure. If let's say you are saying that if someone is hampering with your cattle, someone is destroying your, not cattle, someone is destroying your crops, then you should kill them. Similarly, a lot of animals in like cows and goats, etc., also eat out the crops. If someone provides the rationale that if they are coming and eating my crops, then I'll kill them and then I'll eat them because they are already killed.
Yeah, well, I think it's fine to defend your crops with guns if necessary. I'll add the caveat that it depends to some extent, right? Like if it's
That's
the
where we
only
are on the different page.
so if it's the only option, or then that matters. And if it's a cow eating like one ear of corn and then leaving forever, then I don't think it's a problem. But if this cow
Mm-hmm.
is going to eat all my crops, and the only way I can defend my
Right,
crops is to kill the cow, then I'm happy to kill the cow.
right. I totally get your point. But I'd say that we differ on that point because I myself am a Gandhian. I hope you have read Gandhi, and
Uh,
I believe that they should. Have you read Gandhi?
no, I haven't read Gandhi.
There's no major issue. I'll just explain in a gist. Basically, there should not be any reason to kill or harm anyone in any way, in any circumstance. We should find another way out, and basically, peace is the best policy. That is his philosophy,
Right. I mean,
and
I
I
guess it
believe
just
that if
leads to like something like completely unlivable. Like we can't have
uh, I'll
society without death.
sure, I understand all your points. I'll just explain the situation. Are you? What is your ethnicity before USA? If you can ask your father about Gandhi and the the struggle for the freedom in India,
I'm aware of
because
who Gandhi is and like the general story of his life.
but that's not enough for understanding his philosophy, right? Because he was the major freedom fighter, and he partnered with a lot of freedom fighters, and not all of them were anti violence and anti harm. A lot of them were pro violence and pro harm, to basically to get what you want, you have to kill. That was their philosophy, and they were partners. The Gandhi and them. You may have heard of the name Subhash Chandra Bose.
Uh,
If you have not, there's no
yeah,
issue.
I mean, look, I guess I just disagree, right? Um, so I can't really provide a defense of your philosophy because I don't follow it.
Yeah. There's no issue. I'm just explaining what I think from the philosophy I believe in. Okay, so I'll continue. Basically,
Well, I don't really think there's much point in continuing. Like, I understand the concept of not harming anybody, but that's not a position that I defend.
that's all right. I'll just explain. I was just explaining to you why I believe in that, and what were
Sure,
the
okay.
situations that that were solved by not the non-harm philosophy. That's my word. So basically, in the freedom struggle, there was a lot of uh, uh, revolution from the Indian uh, from the Indian people to overthrow the British government and the British rule, to get the country back. Basically, it's called Swaraj in Hindi, our nation, and basically self governance. Swaraj is basically self governance. So Gandhi came back in India in 1910s. I don't remember the proper date, the proper year, but in 1910s, 1914, or I don't remember the proper year, but that's irrelevant anyways. But that's when he started. And let me tell you, before that, in 1857, there was a huge struggle.
Look, I don't want to be
Basically,
rude, but I'm not particularly interested in the history lesson.
all right, there's no issue. So basically, my philosophy is that the major struggle that Gandhi did helped us to get our nation back from Britishers, and he did his struggle completely in the philosophy of peace and not harming anyone. That's what I believe in, and that's what I see as the major reason that I don't believe in violence. That was my vote. Sorry if that was a bit long, but that's
Uh,
what I believe
that's okay. I mean,
in.
I would just say that even if, uh, Indian independence was achieved without violence, I don't see why that would mean that there's never a situation in which violence is okay. And also, Gandhi wasn't even vegan,
Uh,
so it's not even true that he never
yeah, he was
committed
not.
violence in his life.
He was vegetarian but not vegan.
Yes.
Uh, and yeah, basically, Indian struggle was not completely claimed by non-violence, but it was a major part of it, and it changed the outlook of the ruling Britishers and Indians too.
Hmm.
So basically, that was my philosophy, and I totally agree with your point. There are situations, there must be situations that uh, can not be solved without violence, and we have to use violence to basically get basically be safe or be this is a survival base all of war, so basically survive.
Sure, and I would say,
That is my stance.
yeah, and I would say that uh, defending agriculture is a situation in which violence is acceptable. You might not agree with that, but that's my defense, and I don't think there's any problem with that. Would you agree?
Can you repeat that? Your voice was breaking.
Sure. So I'm saying that agriculture is a situation in which violence is acceptable, and I know you may not agree with that, but
Yeah, yeah.
as far as my point goes, there's no problem with what I've said. Would you agree that there's no problem?
I think if we see the current state of agriculture, there is a lot of uh, issues that we need to solve first,
Wait, but I just mean
and
on the
that
philosophical level
the
with what
issue.
I'm saying, there's no problem with the view, like there's no logical problem with the view that it's acceptable to use violence to defend agriculture, correct?
Uh, I don't totally agree with that. I think we should focus on developing ways so that
Right.
the killings is
So
minimized and they can be minimized by basically helping the farmers
so if you
to
don't agree
invest
with
in.
that, what is the problem with um, using violence to defend agriculture?
I've already told you that I believe in non-violence, and I think
Right, but I'm not just talking
rather than
about your belief being different to mine. I'm asking if there's some kind of like problem with my view, like some kind of internal inconsistency.
uh,
Oh, you've
yeah,
gone
there is.
really quiet.
Okay, so basically, I'm saying that we should find ways, not stop agriculture totally, but we should find ways in order to reduce and eventually, I think completely eradicating is very difficult. The violence towards the pests and rodents, but we should find ways to be more conservative towards their lives, and I think it is possible rather
Uh,
than just saying that it's not economically feasible or it's very expensive. We should because we have found a lot of ways to preserve our environment,
I mean, I
and
do agree that we
eventually.
should move towards not having any crop deaths, and I think that, we probably will move towards that one day. But as it stands, it seems like there's no actual problem with me saying that I think violence is okay to defend the crops, and it doesn't seem like you've been able to show a problem other than maybe you disagree with that.
Yeah, basically that.
Okay.
Because basically I am a vegan myself, and I've been a vegan for at least 3-4 years now. I was a non-vegetarian earlier, I have had a lot of different types of meat, but I've turned vegan just because of some of my college friends
Hmm.
and my personal beliefs in non-violence.
Nice.
That's what turned me towards veganism. But that's irrelevant in this conversation because we are talking about different uh, views.
Sure. I mean, it's so it seems like where we're at is just that I don't know. Maybe on your view, you will face a problem when it comes to crop deaths, but we don't have the same view, and my view's
Yeah.
not susceptible to that. So I would suggest you adopt my view. um,
Can you come again?
well, I'm just saying it seems like if your view is something like it's just never okay to use violence under any circumstance, then yes, you might run into problems, but that's not my view. And so I would suggest you adopt a view closer to mine.
I totally get your point. Uh, I'll just end with basically, I've seen in USA, I'll talk about USA a bit, that there's a lot of gun violence, right? And that is not because of the freedom they get to defend themselves. That is because of the freedom they get to own the arms and ammunition. Because there's an intrinsic uh, uh, feeling in humans to basically have a position of power, have power over someone else. That's basically the innate. Uh,
I'm sorry to cut you off here,
I'm
but I'm
forgetting,
not
but
sure this is strictly relevant. I do see one other avenue we could go down, which might be helpful for you. Um, so
sure,
this
tell me.
so this friend of yours, what exactly did they ask, or what exactly did they go about when they were talking to you about crop deaths? Like, what did they say?
So basically, I have two friend groups. One is that turned me towards veganism,
Hmm.
and I'm out of college currently. I'm preparing for my master. And other is the other one is the other group is basically they don't believe in veganism. So one of my friends from that group, because they know I am a vegan, they suggested, why don't you eat this? Why are you so you are towards and towards non-violence? You say no, you say that no sentient being should be harmed, and then you are eating vegetarian food that kills a lot of astrom- astronomically larger number of sentient beings
So
in the
is he
process.
claiming that you are increasing the amount of sentient beings being killed by eating vegan foods?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And did you ask if he has any evidence of that?
No, but I researched a bit on myself.
Or have you ever heard the phrase, that which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence?
Yeah, I have heard of that.
Right. So I wouldn't
But
just
I
accept
think
that with
that
no
that
proof.
will. Yeah, I did not accept that in the moment, but I did a bit of research on that in after the conversation, and I did find that the number of the insects and rodents being killed is very large. Basically,
Right,
if you want, I can share a few.
that's different
I can
to
share
whether
a few sources.
eating a vegan diet increases the amount of sentient beings being killed.
And how is that?
Well, I see no reason why it would increase the amount.
Cause the basically it's biology. The size of the insects and rodents are way smaller than the cattle or the basically the chicken that we kill for eating. That would be the reason, and they are spread all across the fields.
Hmm.
So I think it's reasonable that the number of insects and rodents being killed will always be larger and be larger
Right, but
than them being
on
killed.
this field, why would there be more animal death during crop production than if we just let it be wild land where animals are predating on one another, killing and eating each other alive?
But that's not what humans are doing. We are talking. We are if someone else kills someone, that is not our problem. That is just wildlife. That is
Right, that's a
just
different question to whether or not you're increasing animal death. At the moment, I'm just talking about an increase, not who
basically
causes the
his
death.
concern was that if we only eat majorly if we only eat the uh, cattle and basically if we only eat majorly non-vegetarian food, then the number of crops would be less, and the number of insect deaths would be even lesser.
Well, I mean, I don't think
And
it's even true that the number of crops would be less because these cattle are going to eat
exactly,
crops.
I
But
yeah, I
regardless,
also disagree with this point because I told him right away, if you increase the number of uh, cattle, if you increase the number of non-vegetarian food, you will have to feed them, and you will have to feed them vegetarian food. You will have to feed them crops only. So that will eventually increase the number of crops anyway. That was my point.
yes,
I
but I
don't
think the
agree
more
on this point. I
important
was just
point,
stating his point, but he.
yeah, but the more important point is
Can
that
you
there's
repeat?
no evidence growing crops increases animal death.
Not animal that, but the if you consider the insects and the rodents animals too, then I think it does.
Why would it increase the amount of animal death?
Not increase. It will basically be higher than the deaths that uh, normally we kill animals to eat. Because I have explained this basically just a few minutes before.
So, are you just saying that in a crop field, more animals die than in what, like a cattle farm?
Yes, I do. The number
I mean,
is higher.
sure, I'm not entirely convinced, but I can accept that, and that still wouldn't mean that growing crops leads to any kind of increase in animal death. And if it doesn't lead to any kind of increase, then I'm not sure why I should be concerned about that. It's like you just consider, like,
Uh,
okay, there's two scenarios.
uh,
One in which we're growing crops on this land and some animals die during
okay,
that. Another in which this land is just wild land, in which case
okay.
natural predator prey cycles are occurring. Animals are going to war with one another essentially, killing each other. So I have no reason to believe that the scenario in which we grow crops would lead to any kind of increase over the other scenario.
So basically, I would beg to disagree because we are not on the same situation if we talk about that. Because we are talking about animals in general. That's our uh, frame which in which we are arguing. And if we talk about the wild and they killing themselves, that is natural, then we are deviating from the basically the argument that we want to believe in.
Well, it seemed like the claim he made was that eating only vegan foods will increase animal death. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. So,
Yes.
Right, and there's no evidence for that.
Basically, he said that if you stop the I'm just stating his point. If you stop eating non-vegetarian food, then the number of crops you will have to. That's his rationale. If you don't agree with that, just let me know. He basically said that if you are increasing the number of crops, the number of insects and rodents will also be larger that die in the production of those crops.
Okay, so I disagree with both points. I disagree with the point that we would have to grow more crops. The reason I disagree with that is because we already grow enough crops to feed humanity. And I disagree that if we grew more crops, it would lead to an increase in the amount of insects and rodents being killed.
And can you explain the second one? Why do you
The,
believe the second point?
well, the number one reason is just there's no evidence for it, right? He's making this claim, so the burden of proof is on him. But if I'm going to be generous and do his work for him, I'd say that
Mm,
regardless of whether we're growing crops on this land, there's going to be animals on that land that are, going to be dying, going to be killing each other. So it seems
right,
just as
but
plausible that by growing crops on this land, we're actually decreasing the amount of animal death.
uh, again, I'll claim another point that I've said this before, but if we are arguing on animals or any sentient being killed for the for feeding ourselves, that is wrong. That is basically what I believe I became vegan for. If you came to veganism from a different way, that's all right. That I'm not denying that. But if we see, I became a vegan to decrease the deaths of sentient beings
Hmm.
for feeding ourselves. That's what
So
my
you
point
don't
is.
care
And
about, tell me if I'm right, you don't actually care about the amount of sentient beings being killed, having their heads ripped off, being eaten alive. You just care about the amount that that's happening to for the purpose of human consumption.
right, if some other animal is doing that, that's totally natural.
Okay,
And
so
if we,
let me ask you this, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a huge field, right? In
Okay,
which like day after day, uh, billions and billions of animals are killing each other on this field, right?
okay,
That's one possible world. Or there's another
okay,
world in which that same field is instead being used to grow potatoes, and whenever you harvest the potatoes, one animal dies. Which world would you rather exist? The one in which billions of animals are
so
being eaten alive, or the one in which one animal dies when you're harvesting potatoes?
that is not one animal, but
Right, but this is a
I guess the
scenario
number
I'm
number
asking
would
you.
be, you said na, if we grow potatoes in the same field, then the number of matlab basically one animal dies. If I think you mistakenly said that,
Well,
but
this
let
isn't the
me,
real world. This is a hypothetical scenario because I'm trying to
yeah, yeah,
understand your position.
yeah. I got that. Basically, first of all, if you uh, grow crops and the land that is occupied by wildlife.
Okay, I would
First of
just
all,
like
you
you to
are
answer the question. Please just, if you want to give an explanation afterwards, that's fine, but I'd really appreciate if you could just answer the question. Say, which world would you prefer? The world in which this land is being used to grow potatoes and one animal dies, or the world in which this land is
okay.
wild and billions of animals are being eaten alive on it?
That again, I'll answer that, but I'll just clarify first. That again is not a real world situation,
Yep, I never
and as
claimed it was
I
the real world.
explained
I
earlier.
would like an answer though.
Okay, so basically, from my belief, if someone is being killed from human consumption, that would not be done. If natural uh, causes, if they die from natural causes, then it's all right.
So you would, just to be clear, really clear, you would prefer the world
Yeah,
in which billions of animals are being eaten alive over the world in which one animal is killed to harvest potatoes.
exactly right.
Right. I mean, I guess I consider that, I'm not trying to be rude, but I do consider that like a pretty crazy position. And I think most other people, when they hear this, will also consider that a pretty crazy position.
But if you are going to ask hypothetical questions, then you are going to get hypothetical answers, right? If you are going to ask questions
I'm not
that
really sure what
do
a
not make
hypothetical
sense in the
answer
real
would
world,
be beyond an answer to a hypothetical question.
if you are going to ask the a question that is
Yeah,
not
I would just say
not
whether
possible in
or
real
not
world.
it's a real world situation, you still have to wrestle with the logical entailments of your view, right?
So let me can I now explain the issues with your question?
Um, Go ahead.
Sure. So basically, you are saying that one scenario is that if there's a field natural where wildlife lives and they participate in their food cycle. That is what it is basically.
Yeah.
Humans consume non-vegetarian food for pleasure, not out of necessity, right?
Yeah, I
There
agree.
are
That's true.
animals that are there are animals that are non-vegetarian. There are animals that are vegetarian. Animals basically herbivores and carnivores. So if you are saying that you would first of all rob them of their homes, and then I don't know what you will do with those animals that are previously located on the situation of the field, and then you would crop potatoes, and then you will kill another animal. Because if you understand the idea of animal territory, a lot of animals are territorious and they do not allow outsiders to enter or basically naturalize in their territories. So if you are saying that you would rob them of their homes and put them somewhere else, this will basically cause even more deaths of the existing animals that are on the piece of land that you are talking about. And after that, even another death. If you are just talking about one death because of the plantation of crops, that is what I believe. If you are doing that, that is even more
Well, I mean, I'm not convinced of any ethical problem in land clearing. I think that's probably a good thing. I think wildland is just a place of like absolute hell where, as I mentioned, animals are just getting eaten alive. So I see nothing wrong with land clearing. Um, it just seems like you and I
did you
have.
did you did you did you hear my argument? Because I think there was some network issue.
Um, It seemed quite unclear what you were saying to me. Like the best thing I could extract from it was like you raised the question of what about the initial clearing of the land to grow the potatoes? And I said that I also believe that's fine.
Yeah. Did you hear the complete argument, or there was it wasn't clear to you?
It wasn't clear to me.
Okay. Basically, you are at the point where the animals are being displaced from their natural habitat, and they are being put somewhere else, and somewhere else will not be their territory, so they will have to struggle to naturalize there too. And uh, let me tell you, if you have heard the term animal territorialism, then they do not allow an external or an intruder. They basically consider the another animals as intruders, and they do not allow to live them there, and do not allow to basically uh, exist in their territory. So that's another problem
Hmm.
that will extrinsically harm those animals and another animal where you grow the crops.
Well, I guess you should have no problem with that, right? Because it'll be the territorial animals killing them. um,
Yeah, I don't
I
have any
just
problem with that, because
teasing you there.
uh, I don't have with I don't have any problem with animals killing animals, because that's natural. They have to do this to survive. This is not a case of, if they do not eat that, they can eat vegetarian food. There are non-vegetarian carnivores that need to eat meat, and if you displace them, uh, following your rationale, if you first of all displace them, you are not only harming one animal, you are harming all the animals that were
Yeah,
previously in
I'm
that
not convinced it
area.
would lead to any kind of increase in harm. Do you have an argument it would lead to an increase in harm?
I just gave you an argument that
Well, I can accept everything you say, and it doesn't commit
what
me
did
to
you
believe
what are you
that.
disagreeing? What are you disagreeing with?
Uh,
Let me know. I'll try to
sure.
answer.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you said, except that it would lead to an increase in harm.
And why wouldn't it? I explained to you why would it increase the harm and suffering of animals.
Well, you didn't explain why it would lead to an increase. You explained
Okay,
they might face like
I'll
this
explain.
issue of trying to move into a niche that's already occupied, but I don't see why that would actually increase the harm they're already experiencing. They're
I
already
got your point. I got
experiencing
your
so
point.
much harm, right?
Let me say that uh, I am an Indian person. I'm just asking a hypothetical question. I'm an Indian person, and you will be very aware of that the protests that are going in several countries against immigrants,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, maybe not exactly the ones you're talking about, but I mean, I am aware people
There
protest
are a lot of countries.
immigration.
Like I can name them if you want. First is Australia only.
Yeah, well, I'm aware of the protests going on in Australia.
In Australia, in USA, the MAGA protest. The
Yeah.
MAGA basically, I don't know the I don't remember the word currently. In
Yeah.
even European countries too, there is a
Yeah.
protest against immigrants, and basically non-white immigrants.
Yes. So what?
So that's my. Let me complete the question first, then you can answer. So, do you believe if I am an Indian and I am thriving in my current uh, situation, I am making a livelihood for myself, and I get displaced. Basically, I get deported from India to somewhere else. I'm not an uh, for some reason I get deported from India and to somewhere else where there is the people there are not accepting someone from outside the territory, someone from outside their land, someone who does not look like them, someone who is new to their territory. Would it, just answer me in one word, would it increase my suffering to make a livelihood for myself, or would it decrease my suffering, or
The
would it
question is,
not
would
matter?
it increase or decrease your suffering to make a livelihood for yourself?
Basically, my survival, or would it not matter at all to me?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Uh, you got the point that would it make it difficult for me to survive there, or would it not make it difficult for me to survive there?
Oh,
That is
if you
basically
got
my question.
deported to a country where people didn't want you, I guess it would be harder for you to survive there.
So you explained my point fairly. That if you displace someone from their territory and put them in another territory, they would uh, uh, there would be difficulties to for their survival, and it would harm them both mentally and emotionally, both mentally and
Yes,
physically.
yes, but I would explain the difference is in your scenario, you're talking about you currently thriving and then being moved to a terrible situation, whereas the difference
Yeah.
with these animals is that they're already in a terrible situation and then they get moved to a different terrible situation. And I'm not sure why the second one would be worse than the first.
Got it. I think you are not uh, understanding the point of a food cycle. Just a second. If there's a food
Wait, so
cycle, there will be
do you
suffering.
agree those two situations you presented are not analogous?
Uh,
Like they, uh,
can you repeat that?
I mean, like the situation you gave me about deportation
Mm.
uh, is not analogous. Like can't be compared to the situation of uh, displacing animals when we grow crops.
It is. If you think it is a similar situation.
Well,
If you remove someone
I'm
from
not
their
saying there's
territory,
no similarity, but I'm explaining there is a morally relevant difference in that in one case your situation gets worse, whereas in the animal
yeah,
case there's no evidence their situation actually gets worse.
I basically you have to see the evidence. You can read on the
Well, I'm
animal
happy for you to show me
territorialism.
evidence, but you won't because it doesn't exist.
Uh, if you want, I'll share the articles with you after the call, or if you want now, you'll have to give me 5-10 minutes to find those
Okay,
articles.
maybe send them to me afterwards.
Sure, I'll send those articles to you afterwards, and some of the other articles that are relevant.
But
And
I do actually have to go
basically, I
soon,
will.
so I'd like to do a little like summary of the call, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure. I
Okay,
was just
sure.
just I'll
If you want
complete
to
my
finish
sentence.
up, go ahead, and then I'll do a summary, and then you're happy. You're welcome to have the last word.
Oh, sure. Basically, there is a situation in which be there will be difficulties for an animal to survive, and I guess we are way off the track in this scenario, but it's all right. I'll just explain the final point, because I was trying to explain this point to you intuitively, but I'll provide the evidence afterwards too, and you can check it for yourself. Because once the territory is made, once a territory is provided to an animal by birth or by naturalization with their pack, they tend to live or tend to I'm forgetting some words. Basically, they tend to protect them like someone protects their country from the intruders and basically the terrorists. So, because there's a clear situation of survival. If someone is an intruder, there is a possibility that they would try to overthrow or try to harm their uh, fellow fellows or their fellow packmates. Basically, that is the point, and that would eventually make it difficult for those who are not coming from an intention of uh, uh, harming the initial uh, uh, animals in the uh, territory. That is all.
Sure. Well, I mean, to that, I would just say that I'm not convinced the animals who are being displaced suffer any more than they otherwise would because they're already experiencing so much suffering. Okay, so I'll do a little summary now, just to recap. Seems like we started on the point that you take veganism, or rather, at least your reason for being vegan is to completely avoid harming sentient beings. Yet sentient beings are killed during crop production, and I'd say that's a criticism that doesn't apply to me because I don't take the position that we should never harm sentient beings under any circumstances. I think there are circumstances in which it's acceptable to harm certain beings, including crop production. Um, the next thing we talked about was I raised the point that there's not even any evidence that growing crops increases animal death.
Hello.
Yep. So
Uh,
the
uh,
next point we came to was that I raised the point there's no evidence that growing crops increases animal deaths. Um, and you said you don't care if it
can I stop you for
increases.
a second?
Uh, let me just get this recap done. Um,
Okay, okay, okay.
and then I'll give you the last word.
Sure, sure,
You
sure.
said you don't. Sorry. So I made the point that there's no evidence growing crops increases animal deaths. And then you said you don't care about the increase, you just care about whether it's being done for humans, in which case I gave you the scenario in which there's a plot of land. You can have two situations. In one situation, billions of animals are being eaten alive. In the other situation, one animal is killed to harvest potatoes. And you actually preferred that first situation, which I think is pretty crazy, obviously. And then we talked a little bit about the initial land clearing. And I said that I'm not convinced that there's any additional harm being done to these animals who are being displaced because they're already suffering so much harm. Um, and I'm happy to hand it over to you to give you the last word.
I think you have covered all the points that we discussed. We disagree. We surely disagree on some of them,
Hmm.
and that's all right. There's no issue with that.
Sure.
And basically, we have different ideologies. We have different philosophies. We have different rationales. It depends on our situations, and I think it was a fruitful conversation.